How do you know when to promote the products in your farm business? Well, today I'm going to share with you how to figure that out. We're going to talk about promotion calendars. This is the roadmap that you design typically in January to help guide all of your marketing efforts over the next 12 months. We're going to talk through how you build them and what goes into the process. Let's get started. Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show. Well, welcome to episode 296 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I'm your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. I'm also the founder of MyDigitalFarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategy so that you can grow a profitable business. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the show, all of my favorite fan listeners, and a big shout out to all of my new folks who are checking me out for the first or second time, who have become intrigued by the podcast. I'm really glad you're here too, and I hope you become super fans and binge listen your way through all the archives. If you are new to the show, make sure that you subscribe. And if you aren't really sure where to get started, I always tell people to go to the first 10 episodes and learn the marketing lingo from there, because that's how I designed them as an onboarding into the marketing space. But you can also get onto my email list. That will be of huge benefit to you. It's free. Go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. And when you do, I'm going to send you an email roughly every 5 days for like 3 months. And it's going to walk you through the key things you need to know, the key principles about marketing, the framework, the influencers you should be following, the elements that you should be building in your system, the books you should read, all that. It's going to turn you into a marketing maven. So subscribe, head to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at Local Line. Imagine all of your farm sales under one roof. Local Line is the most comprehensive sales software built for farmers and food hubs, selling direct to restaurants, schools, wholesale buyers, CSA, and more. Features include e-commerce, automated inventory management, a box builder, subscriptions, point of sale, and more, helping you increase your sales, save time, and streamline your processes. Are you looking to switch to sales software that does it all? Subscriptions start as low as $49 a month with no setup fees or sales percentages. Plus, if you join Local Line today, your onboarding manager will migrate your storefront at no cost, so you'll be up and running in no time. You can even pause your subscription in the off season. Now, bonus, as a podcast listener, Local Line is also offering a free premium feature for 1 year with your subscription when you use my coupon code. So to grab that, go to mydigitalfarmer.com/local line, that's one word, and then enter the coupon code MDF2025. We love Local Line. We've been using it for years. I highly recommend them. Make the switch today. And now back to the show. Today, we are talking about promotion calendars. What's that, you say? No worries. I was there once too. This is the document that serves as your roadmap for the entire year of all the different promotional elements that you are going to leverage in your business. Now, it's not a hard and fast rule type of document. It's very organic. A lot of times things that I put on there, I don't end up doing, but it does give me a basic plan that I put together at the beginning of the year to make sure that I hit my revenue targets, to make sure that I've identified the things I could even sell and when I should sell them, to make sure that I serve my customers and that I meet my bottom line. So I'm going to walk you through how you go about putting one of these together. I've actually wanted to have this episode for a really long time. And then this opportunity presented itself. I was invited to be a guest on the Growing for Market podcast. And when he asked me, what do you want to talk about? I said, well, how about we talk about promotion calendars, because this is going to launch in January and that's the perfect time to actually be building your promotion calendar, and we can teach people how to do this. And I've never taught this anywhere before. So he said yes. And if you listen to the Growing for Market podcast, then you've already heard this episode before, because my interview was a little bit longer. I ended up editing it quite a bit for my version, but you have probably already heard it then. But I wanted to share the audio of that particular interview. So that was kind of the deal when I arranged the interview with Andrew. I said, hey, I'll do this. I'd love to do it. Is there any way I could get a copy of that audio so that I can use it on my podcast too? And so he agreed. So thank you, Andrew, for letting me do this. You are going to hear an edited version of that podcast interview. So if you want the whole longer version, there were some additional questions he asked me in his version. You have to go and listen to his episode, which is on the Growing for Market podcast. I'll put the link in the show notes. Now, I want to just say that the recording quality is good, but there is sort of like this imbalance in the mic volume levels. So you'll notice that when Andrew was interviewing me, his volume is going to sound a little more muted and I'm going to sound a little bit louder. And that's just because of the waveform audio, the way it worked out. I'm not sure if we were mic'd differently or what, but I tried to adjust it as much as I could on the editing side here. But just know that I may sound a little bit louder. I've tried to get his volume to go as high as I can. It's just the way it is. But I'm going to turn it over now. You're going to listen to the recording from that podcast. And then at the end, I'll come back in with a goodbye. All right, here we go.
So I read on your website that you don't have any formal sales or marketing training, but that you were trying to grow your customer base for your farm and didn't really have an idea how to do it, which honestly sounds like a lot of farmers I know. And you say, one day in 2016, quite by accident, I discovered the world of online marketing. Can you tell us a bit about your journey into online marketing and how you use that to market your CSA?
Yeah, so I remember feeling a lot of anxiety about trying to get my CSA customers to renew their shares. And I
Mm-hmm.
would pitch this offer at the end of the year and say, hey, it's time to sign up again. And I would maybe get like 20 or 30% of them to do so right away. And I would go into the Christmas season, into the holidays, just full of anxiety because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how many of them were actually going to come back. Uh, as it turned out, more of them would come like sign up in May, but I just was never sure. And I wanted to come up with a system for getting those decisions to be made earlier. And so I decided that I just needed to figure out marketing. And at the time, when I thought of marketing, I thought of social media. I didn't really know about all the other things, but that was kind of just really becoming hot at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, let me go study social media, specifically Facebook. And I found a podcast. I think it was called the Social Media Marketing Podcast. And I started listening to that. It was primarily targeting entrepreneurs in the digital marketing space, though. But I learned a ton. I mean, I just learned the framework of marketing. I binged through tons of episodes. I ended up going to their conference. They have a virtual conference every year. And in that process, I was exposed to a lot of the influencers in the digital marketing space. So, there was a workshop on SEO, there was a workshop on email marketing. And in the process, I learned all the different marketing channels and the different ways you could do things. I mean, I did a deep dive. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I could apply some of this stuff to a physical product like a CSA. And I just decided that I would try. So I came back and I designed my first lead magnet. And if you're listeners don't know what that is, we might talk about it later, but, um, and I figured out a way to get people to subscribe to my email list, and I made like 4 of them in my first 2 weeks. I was so excited. I started making a lot of video content for my CSA members and digital resources to help them be successful with the box and like a mini training course for them. Um, I started playing around with email marketing and writing autoresponders and onboarding sequences for people just to help them figure out how to get acclimated into the community. And what I noticed is that the engagement level of my CSA went up huge amounts, huge amounts. And not only that, but when I decided to run a promotion at the end of the year to get them to renew, I had 70% of them come back in like that 1 week period that I offered the promotion, which was like mind blowing to me. So for the first time ever, I went into my Thanksgiving and Christmas season feeling at peace, relaxed, knowing that I had sold most of them and that I would probably be able to make up the difference in the 4 or 5 months after the holidays.
Hmm.
And so it was life changing for me, and that was, a kind of validating. It was like, there's something to this, and that is when I really began to explore what else can you do with digital marketing, and because it was so groundbreaking, I created a Facebook group, a private Facebook group for, farmers, CSA farmers. I think there were like 5 people in it for a year. I was just talking to the same 5 people, but I didn't care. I was just sharing all the stuff I was doing in there, what I was so excited about. And slowly that group gained traction, and, I kept doing videos in there every week, and eventually I created a podcast, but it's just been my mission to help other, originally CSA farmers, but now I've kind of grown my audience to, uh, direct to consumer farmers in general of all kinds, just to help them learn the framework. Because I think a lot of us just didn't grow up. We decided we wanted to be a farmer because we like growing produce, we like making the product, or we like raising the animals, whatever, right? And it we don't realize that there's more to it than that. In order to be able to make money, you have to learn how to sell, and that skill is not, at least at the time, it was not focused on much at conferences. And so I just sort of saw a huge niche there, a gap where that I could fill and say, I can help you with this. I can at least guide you to the places that you should go to learn about it. So that's how it was born, and now my digital farmer exists to equip beginner, intermediate farmers to teach them the ropes of marketing and help them feel confident that they know what to do and they learn how to build their own marketing system.
I worked my first full-time season as an apprentice on a farm back in 2003, so I'm going to
Mhm.
date myself here. So it blows my mind that that was 20 years ago, and we were totally focused on the growing aspect of things. And I think also if you look back at the issues of growing for market, for example, from that time, or like the ag books that were coming out, they were really focused on the growing, and not so much on the marketing or the business side of farming. Then there,
Mhm.
there were some books like Richard Wiswall's book that were a game changer for us on farm business. But um, it seems like a promising trend, um, that more farmers, maybe beginning farmers, are paying more attention to the business aspects of farming, like having a business plan, a plan for how much they need to sell, a plan for marketing to get the number of customers they need to make a living, and that kind of stuff. Because let's face it, most farmers don't get into farming for the business side of things. I know when my wife and I started selling at farmers markets, we just hoped there would be enough people to buy enough of our vegetables. Um, so it sounds like the marketing you help people with works both for in-person sales, like at farmers markets and farm stands, and CSAs, or is it more applicable for online sales, or both?
That's a great question. I feel like what I offer farmers is first and foremost the framework. The framework works for both uh, digital marketing spaces like e-commerce, or if you're more like, oh, I just go to the farmers market or I have a roadside stand and I sell person to person. In either case, it helps to know that there is a typical journey that a prospect walks through in your brand to turn them into a super fan. And there are milestones along the way in this framework that your customer needs to hit if you want them to turn into a super fan. And
Hmm.
the way that you help them hit those milestones might be different depending on whether you have a roadside stand or you're doing things through e-commerce, but you have to create systems in your business to hit each of the stages. And so that's what I help teach is like, here's the framework. Here are the 7 or 8 things that need to be in the journey somewhere. And you probably have some of them, but if you're missing a couple in the pipeline, your customers are just going to flow right out of that hole and they're not going to progress.
Hmm.
So sometimes people will tell me, I'm not having customers, they're just browsing or they're not actually buying, or, you hear a lot of common complaints that come through from different farm owners. And almost all of them you can trace back to, well, there's a hole in your marketing system. There's one or two of those spots in the framework that you haven't built a system around. And that's just people not knowing the framework. And so that's kind of what I'm really passionate about teaching.
Well, one thing that we talked a bit about is a promotion calendar for 2025. And so I don't know if that's one of the elements or if that just gives people a framework, but um, promotion a promotion calendar seems like a good topic. So we're talking here at the end of 2024. This interview will probably run early 2025. And I figure it's a good time of year when farmers have the time to plan a promotion calendar out for the coming year, which sounds very helpful because there's nothing to kill your creativity like having a blank page or a blank social media post staring you in the face, thinking, I need to post something, but not knowing what to post. So I'm thinking putting the time into planning a promotion calendar now can make it a lot easier to actually get those promotions out to the world when it's busy time on the farm. So, first of all, what channels are we talking about here for farmers to reach potential customers?
Yeah. So I feel like there are a lot of channels, Andrew, but I think there's maybe 3 or 4 that really jump out for me.
Mhm,
The first one is the obvious one that everyone thinks of first. That's social media.
mhm,
I think that's actually most farmers' default setting is like, oh, when we talk about marketing, they think I mean social media.
mhm,
It is one of the platforms, one of the channels that we have open to us. I think its primary purpose, though, is actually more just to attract your ideal customer and get them onto your list. I
mhm,
don't see it being a huge driver of sales. There are exceptions, but that is a main platform for me to focus my attention on because I'm always trying to get new people into the sales pipeline, and that's
mhm,
its main purpose. That also means like paid ads. It could also be like a local Facebook group, kind of falls into that category. Another marketing channel would be email marketing. And this is one that I'm really passionate about. Most of my ROI comes from email marketing. It's direct, it's personal, it's very cost effective. If you know how to write well and you learn the unique copywriting style that email needs to be. Like email writing is not writing a paper for your 8th grade literature teacher. It's a completely different type of writing. And I think yeah, that's where people get stuck and they're like, "Oh, I hate writing." It's just a style. And if you learn like how to write a great weekly email, if you learn things like how to create an actual promotional sales email, that the right person will actually be excited to open because they're interested in the product. If you learn the skill of what I call email nurture campaigns, these are a series of emails that automatically drip out to someone once they've subscribed to your list and they build connection. They don't pitch anything, they just share your story. They share anecdotes, they teach them the customer new things. Like that's a really powerful channel as well. That you can really ultimately pitch offers through, but you're building a connection, building trust, and then making your offers.
mhm,
I would also say another marketing channel would be the farm website with your e-commerce platform, ideally, kind of hooked together. This is the digital hub of your business. Your SEO all drives to that site as well. If you have online orders that you're taking, you need to have a really strong website presence. So you can dedicate, like you can have a promotions page there. You can have a pop-up that comes up that has your recent promotion or how to get on your email list. So that's another really popular one. And the other two I would maybe mention here would be SMS or text messaging.
mhm,
Um, that's becoming more and more common in the digital space. a lot of people say, oh, nobody opens emails anymore, but everyone checks their phone. Every text that comes through, people are looking at. So that's another whole skill set. How do you write a text message because you don't have as much space? But that one gets really high open rates. And then I was going to say influencer marketing. I feel like is maybe another one to think about. And print marketing to some degree. Some people who are listening to the show definitely could benefit from using print marketing.
Hmm. So probably depending on the individual farm's goals, all those channels are open to them, and it depends on which one they're going to want to leverage based on their goals. And like if they're looking
Right.
to
As
sell their,
and
or go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as we're going to talk about, when you build your promotion calendar, one of the things you ask in that process is, okay, now which marketing channels am I going to use? And you make that decision based on the the level of importance of this promotion. Some promotions there's a lot driving them, and you need a lot of revenue to come from that promotion. And so you're going to use multiple channels, and you're going to put a lot more energy and time into the communication. Some things, if you're just going to the farmer's market every weekend, you might just have to post on social and send an email, like,
Hmm.
and that it's not as hardcore.
Yeah. Okay. So you can help people even figure out which of those channels to use,
Yeah,
for depending on their goals and markets and all that kind of thing. Okay, well,
right.
this is at least sounds like marketing is like everything else in farming. I feel like most of the questions I ask on this podcast, the answer is it depends in some way or the other, right? Because all the ag questions, it always depends on your soil and your climate and your crop, and so I I guess I guess I guess a lot of the questions in life, the answer is it depends, and you just have to figure out what it depends on. So, um,
It does. Or you could create a whole episode just on the marketing channels, right? There you just can't go dive too deep.
yes, yes. Well, I'm sure we could talk for days probably about this kind of stuff, which is why we will try to focus. Which brings me to the question is, so what exactly is a promotion calendar? So
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean, but just in case I don't, and for our audience, would you tell us what exactly a promotion calendar is?
Yeah, so this is a visual schedule or visual representation of all of the marketing activities that a business plans to accomplish to achieve their marketing goals over a set period of time. So it's usually an entire year, but some people only plan it for the, 6 months at a time, maybe even by quarters, but I like to have a promotion calendar for the entire year. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to include not just your um, paid, like your marketing activities where you're pitching offers and hoping to build revenue, but it's also including the things that fall under marketing that don't necessarily include getting a sale. So, growing your email list, getting people to leave a testimonial or a review. These are all things that are in that marketing framework I talked about,
Mm-hmm.
those different milestones that you want customers to hit. So, we're building mechanisms into our business, or at least planning it out on paper, like, hey, this is what I plan to do to make sure that these things happen and when. So let me be more clear. So the kinds of things that you would put into a promotion calendar would be things like your one-time big product launches. So my CSA early bird renewal campaign, something like that. Like, I'm just going to stick that in the month of October and say that is a big event that I have to plan something around. It
Mm-hmm.
also includes like your monthly campaigns or your weekly, the things that you do every week.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the farmer's market, so I need to make sure I have a mechanism that fires every week to remind people to come and check me out at the farmer's market, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
might have that in your promotion calendar. It includes special holiday promotion things that only show up on Mother's Day or at Easter. I sell my hams, right? So we sort of target holidays, and we target certain products and bundles and packages. And it's just like a rough draft guide for us to look at visually and say, this month I'm going to be selling these items, trying to hit these revenue goals.
Mm-hmm.
And that served as a roadmap for us to kind of walk through our year then, month by month, and things don't creep up on us and surprise us like, oh shoot, I have to sell this big thing next week and I'm not ready. We can see it coming because we've thought about it and we've paid attention to making sure there's white space and it's not overlapping. And do we have the energy for it? Because that's the week we're going to be seeding a whole bunch of stuff, right? We think about all of that in advance.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense because I know, well, once you get into the rush of the season, it can be so hard to keep track of what the plan is. It really helps to have a plan. Um, so what can you tell us a bit about the process that you would use to make one?
Yeah. So this usually takes me about 3 to 5 hours. Like I set aside an entire afternoon to work this out for my farm. Now, remember, I'm a farm that's been around for 15 years, and I have um, if you're just getting started and you're just going to the farmer's market, you might not have as much time to devote to this, right? You're not going to have to do as much stuff. But I've
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of things going on. But the first thing that I do is I decide how long I'm going to plan it for. And then I decide on my marketing goals.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things like, um, I don't know, I want to grow my email list by 150 people this year, or I want to try to get my average order value in the online store to go up by $5. I'll think through some general marketing goals because
Mm-hmm.
that's what's going to drive ultimately when I start plotting things. It's going to drive like the kinds of offers that I brainstorm and build to put into this promotion calendar. Um, the next thing that I do is I review all of my data from the past year. And this is so, so important to run those reports in your e-commerce platform if you use e-commerce or on Square, just to see like what's the sales data telling me? What did I sell month by month? What were the popular items by enterprise? Where was the money coming in? And that's really important because we don't want to spend a ton of energy promoting items that really don't make us a lot of money, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
just making sure we know this and you'll get a feel for it. Most of you who've been farming for a while, you probably already know this. You don't even have to run the numbers. But I always say just look at your data and look at the promotions you did last year. So I review not just the numbers, but like I look at my promotion calendar from the year before because that often serves as a template for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I ran a uh, Mother's Day brunch event in May last year and I knew it made this much, then and I've decided, yeah, that was a great ROI, then I'm going to do it again. And I'll just plot it there again and I'll know what goal to set and maybe I'll try to bump it up 10% higher to give myself a little bit of something to go for, right? But I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at what did I do last year or I'm looking at some of the people I saw around me, some of the offers that I saw that I thought were really neat and I'm like, "Oh, I want to try that next year." And I'm just kind of getting the lay of the land. The next step is to make a list of all of the key products or enterprises that are in your what I call the product ladder
Mm-hmm.
that you want to promote. And for some of us, this is quite a list. And I think this is important because you want to make sure you don't forget anything, right? If
Yeah.
you've got a product that does really well and you just forgot to think about it, sometimes you can forget to end up pitching it until it's too late, or you don't maximize what you could have gotten out of it because you didn't think about it in advance. So I actually use post-it notes and I will just write the products down on all the post-it notes. Now I'm not writing carrot on one and cabbage on another. I'm not doing that. It's more like categories of things. So like my CSA share or my CSA 4 week SAMP trial membership, my Thanksgiving pop-up market uh, online is a really big one. We do a plant sale that would go on a post-it note, right? I'm thinking about what are the big drivers of revenue, what are the popular products. Sometimes it's an individual product, like if I know bulk tomatoes are hot sellers, and I want to build a whole thing around that. That's gonna get its own thing, right? So I just have it all these things laid out, and then that allows me to go, okay, I got all this stuff I want to sell. Now, where's it going to go? Right?
Mm-hmm.
How is it all going to fit into this 12-month period of time? Right? I'm looking also at like what are the key drivers of the revenue as I'm staring at those post it notes. because some of the Post-it notes are more valuable than others, right? If you only have so much time and you decide I can't fit it all in, well, what are the ones that are like crushing it for you, that are bringing in the revenue, that are your cash cow, or if it's like 30% of your revenue, or maybe you make a ton of your sales in Christmas, my God, don't drop that from your promotion calendar, right? Like that's gotta be there.
Hmm.
So you have this giant, like if you're a Post-it note girl like me, you've got this giant table now, kind of Post-it notes that's showing you these are the things that we need to fit into the calendar. So the next step is to look at, are there any important dates on the calendar that I need to kind of block out? This sounds silly, but like if you know that you want to take a vacation, or there's certain weekends that you're just not going to be as available because it's planting season or whatever, like you need to mark that down so that you don't accidentally create a promotion during a time that is just not feasible for you.
Right.
Um, and so we always take a vacation in the middle of July. I know that sounds crazy, but we make it happen. And so I just make sure everything gets like built around that. And that's just a value that we have as a farm.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me just because I'm imagining some of these like you mentioned weekly promos might not be a big deal, or like if you're just reminding
Yeah.
people that you're going to be at the farmers market, that's probably something people could pull off pretty quickly. I'm thinking like maybe a picture of what's going on the farm that week, what's picking, it will be at the farmers
Yeah.
market, but some of the bigger ones like maybe CSA sign up, or get your hams around a certain holiday or something like that, might be something that you would want to invest a little bit more time into if it's a really important part of your business. And so making sure
Yeah.
that like if you're going to be gone the week before that promo, that you do the work the week before that week, so that you're not trying to
Correct.
put together a really important promo the same week you're also trying to be on vacation. I mean, I can see how it can almost like help you balance the load between what needs to be done and when you have the time to actually do it.
Right. Yeah. And you're also setting your revenue goals as you begin to plot them out onto the calendars, or onto the months, because it's really important that you pay attention to your cash flow situation. What does this promotion need to generate for you in terms of revenue? And that's not always a question that farmers ask in advance. And then it's no wonder that we get ourselves in trouble with cash flow because suddenly there isn't any. And it's like, well, you didn't plan a promotion to
Hmm.
make, before then to make sure you could cover that period. And so pay attention to your cash flow needs, look for those gaps. In the marketing space in general, like even outside of our industry, there's this concept of marketing peaks.
Hmm.
And there will typically be 4 marketing peaks in a year. That's what's kind of recommended, one for each quarter. And the marketing peaks represent one of those larger promotions where you're generating a big chunk of revenue.
Hmm.
Many retail businesses have a huge one in December, November, December. Obviously, the holiday season is where they get a big chunk of their revenue for the year. But you've got to also have some things earlier on. So that may mean you have to fabricate some kind of demand for a product if you're going to need help with your cash flow. So I always will set some revenue goals for each of the promotions as well.
Hmm.
Either by promotion or by month or by quarter. And then I'm making sure that the promotions that I've put into that quarter are going to hit that revenue goal. And
Hmm.
then that gives me something to be tracking on a spreadsheet as well as the year progresses, because I can look at the end of February and I can see, am I on track? Am I going to be able to get to that goal that I set with my calendar? And if I've done my job right, I will, right? And if
Hmm.
I'm seeing that I'm short, then I know I have time to pivot and try and come up with something before the end of that quarter.
Uh-huh.
So we're looking at the revenue. That's part of the process, is to look at your revenue goals then for each month, making sure that your promotions that you put in there are meeting those. And then I also take a look at, like, what are my marketing channels going to be? So we talked about this earlier. Uh, there's a bunch of different options, but depending on how important the promotion is, how much revenue it needs to drive, I may have more marketing channels invested in those larger promotions. Most of the time, I feel like level, kind of level, low level promotions are things like just writing a weekly email or making sure I post things on social media. That's pretty easy to do. But for the stuff that matters, I'm building out like giant email campaigns, and I've got giveaway contests, and I'm making the whole promo feel like an event, creating excitement and engagement, um, building a bonus offer, whatever, having uh, a raffle. There's all kinds of things you can do to create that sort of energy and vibe. And then kind of
Uh-huh.
towards the end of the process is to very generally jot down or brainstorm, like, what are the promotional strategies going to be
Mm.
for these different things? So that's also going on the promo plan. And again, I'm literally scribbling these things onto Post-it notes. I mean, this is a rough draft. This is not meant to be like, I've got my tagline down and I'm writing my email copy and I've got my social media image posts ready to, like, no, you do that month to month as things get closer. This is just the big picture plan. But I do want to know, okay, for my CSA early bird renewal campaign, like, I'm going to have a giveaway. I'm going to have a bonus. It's probably going to be around $5, in value. So I'm going to have some budget for that. And my goal is going to be to sell 80% because that's what I've done, historically. We're going to do a contest before, whatever. Like, I can just sort of jot down things, but that's all I have to do. I don't have to um, go into the weeds and like literally write the campaign. That is not what the promotion calendar is about.
Yes. Okay. And so it's more like it's a plan. It's a reminder when you're busy, oh, this needs to be promoted in such and such a week, or I'm interested in this idea you said about I think you called them sales peaks of, is that like one every quarter? Is that just the idea that some of them might be obvious, like CSA sign up week, in the fall
Mhm.
for CSA farms? I think it's so valuable to have the planning to be able to get people signed up early. But then I'm like, is it just well, you're bound to sell more if you have a plan to do some promotion, right? Because I could see how somebody might just do a promotion once a year, yeah, around the holidays or around CSA sign up time, and then not really have promos for the rest of the year. Is the general idea there? Well, duh, you're going to sell more if you have some plan to promote whatever it is that you're selling more than once or twice a year.
Yeah, so here's the thing, like, farmers, the way that you will increase your revenue is really, there's like four ways. The first way is you could raise your price. The second way is you could get more customers. The third way is you could increase the average order value, the amount they spend each time they do buy from you,
Mm-hmm.
or you could increase the frequency at which they buy from you. And that means
Mm-hmm.
you have to pitch more offers. You have to come back to them repeatedly with, hey, buy again. And now come and buy again. And now I have another thing you could buy. And for your super fans who want to collect everything you have, they don't mind when you ask them to do that. So this is why we have to create these marketing peaks. So usually you'll see things like this is not necessarily inside the farming space, but I'll give you some examples of marketing peaks that are out there, like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, um, like the start of school
Mm-hmm.
is sort of another transition point. Thanksgiving and Christmas, those are big ones, in New Year's. There's usually a lull. The hardest place for retailers to get people to buy is usually in the first 2 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's a big drop there in energy, but you're trying to take advantage of the fact that customers have buying habits around certain times of the year. Usually they're around cultural moments or holidays. And so we want to tap into that and create some kind of a promotion when the customer is looking for something to buy. There's energy to buy. So we build a marketing peak or an offer around those times.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, the big guys do it. I mean, the honestly, the example that comes to mind is Prime Day, right? I'm not a huge fan of
Yes.
Amazon, but right, weren't they like, my understanding of Prime Day is that they were like, okay, people buy tons of stuff on Black Friday. Wouldn't it be great to have another day like that? And they were like, let's create an artificial holiday or sales
Yes.
holiday called Prime Day. And so I'm thinking, obviously probably most farmers don't want to be Amazon. They don't, they almost want to be the anti-Amazon, but there's
Yeah.
definitely things that farmers can learn, from big businesses. And um,
Yeah. We have
it,
something called tax-free day. I don't know if that's something you have in your state where on this particular week there's no sales tax that's levied.
we don't.
And
I've heard of tax holidays. We do not have one in Maine,
okay.
but
Yeah.
that's interesting.
But that's another example of some, fabricated day that's now turned into this huge shopping day for people around because it's before the school season starts and they're all trying to buy their school supplies and their kids' clothes and not have to pay sales tax. So
Right. Okay, so yeah, you might have, I'm thinking farmers might have a particular time of year where they know a certain flower or a certain vegetable is going to come on. The best example I can think of this from our own marketing was more when we had an overabundance of something. I mean, I think this is a classic farmer
mhm.
thing, is to give away recipes. And so I'm thinking, and we would do that at the farmers market, like uh we got too much of this, make sure and have a recipe about it. And that worked really well for us. So I imagine with you, they would take it to the next level and put that recipe in an email or put it on a social media post or something like that, as a way to
Yeah, that's it.
digitally do the
Those
same thing.
Yeah, that's a great example. Sometimes you're also looking for opportunities to create a new product, right? Like I know we just decided a few months ago we wanted to expand our CSA and offer now a meat share. Now we don't actually produce the meat, but we have a partner that we
Hmm.
found and they're going to sell it to us wholesale and then we're going to mark it up and they'll just bring it to us frozen, already ready to go, and we just kind of pass it. And this is gonna create some easy additional revenue for us. When we announced it during our early bird renewal campaign, people went crazy and they're so excited about it. And then starting in January, we'll actually pre-sell them and pitch them, right? But this is a question that I asked, like, is there something new, a new product I can develop or promote and create buzz around that? So sometimes you artificially manufacture um, energy and you create energy for your brand around by creating a new promotion or offering a new product. So this does take some brainstorming and some imagination when you sit down there and you look at, okay, what have I done in the past that's worked well? What have I seen other businesses, industries do that I could modify for my farm? Like, could I bundle something really cool? Could I take advantage of a holiday? Like, if you are like, they have all kinds of things like national holidays, like National Donut Day and National Take Your Mom Out to Ice Cream Day. Like, if you sell ice cream, then you should totally like snag one of those hashtags and, build a whole promotion around it, right? Maybe it'll do something. Who knows? So we're just looking at what are other businesses doing? Can we take that template? A lot of it is just trial and error, and sometimes you find a real winner. I have one more example, that of an offer that just did really well. It was around Thanksgiving when my husband and I, a few years ago, we had all this food left over at the end of the season, and we wanted to donate it. We were just like, "Let's just donate it," because, like, it's too much work to try and, like, figure out what to do with it. And then I was like, "Well, let's get our customers to donate it for us, because then it's not just us taking it to a food bank, but we just put it all in a bunch of bags, like hundreds of bags, and we just have them, claim one. They're free. They just have to claim them on the online store, and they can come pick it up. It's a $30, bag basically worth of produce, and then they can bring it to someone and cheer them up. Somebody who needs some food this season." And we called it the Feed the Need bag. And, I was like, "Well, I'll just throw some other things in the store too, while I'm there." And it ended up being one of our largest grossing, like, online store days in history because people came for that free offer, and then while they were there, they're like, "I'm gonna throw a bunch of vegetables in my cart too." But that was just an example of an idea that came out of, "Hey, let's figure out a way to be generous. Let's figure out a way to give our food away." And ironically, it ended up making us a whole lot of money, was like which was a beautiful bonus, but now that is a staple in our promotion calendar. It shows up every Thanksgiving because it creates so much energy. It also creates revenue, but our customers ask for it. They're like, "Oh, I love this. This is a tradition now. I love you allowing me to be an ambassador of goodwill." And yeah, so sometimes you come up with really neat ideas just out of luck.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant, because where I thought you were going to go with that is that the giveaway was like nurture content, if that's Like that's an idea I hear sometimes is that I mean, of course, like you can't sell in every single post or
Right.
email to your customers, or they're going to get sick of it. And I thought you were just going to say that that got people involved, and it sounds like maybe that's what you were expecting, but it sounds like it turned out to be a great sale. It ended up making a lot of sales for you, in addition to presumably making your customers
Yeah.
feel connected to the farm, and like they got to do this great thing of helping to give away food to somebody that they know needs it. So that's that's a really to turn that event into a sales event for the farm. um
That comment actually makes me think about this was a point I wanted to make. The promotion calendar is not just about making sure that we plan out the things we're going to do to make money. But we also want to ask those questions. So, like, what are my other marketing goals? Like, do I want to nurture people along? Because you have people who have just come into your sales funnel who are
mhm,
not ready to buy yet. They're just not ready. They're still warming up to you. They're checking out other options. They're watching your videos on social. And so we need to have content that's for those eyes too. And so I'm always looking through the lens of, okay, now that I've put out all the things on this calendar that are going to make me money, what are the things I need to make sure I'm doing? What are the mechanisms that I need to have running in the background that are warming up the audience, right? So, and it's just as simple like, oh, make sure you're posting on social, like um, these frequently asked questions get into the social calendar on a monthly basis.
mhm,
You always have a video or a video unboxing of your CSA box. Like that should be in there just to make people aware of what you do, what you sell. Um, or make sure you have a lead magnet post so that you're getting people onto your email list. Or maybe a goal is like, I'm going to create a new lead magnet this year for this new product that I eventually want to sell because I know it's going to attract that kind of person, right? So you're looking at the other marketing goals and you're making sure that you have created mechanisms in the calendar somewhere so that those things happen as
mhm.
well.
Well, that's great. I'm so glad that you made that point, because I'm thinking about how you're talking about using social media to maybe get people over to your email list. Well, some of those people might be interested enough to get your email, but they're not customers yet. And I'm thinking that that kind of sort of like nurture content, you it
Hmm.
shows people who you are, how you grow, and what you do, and it's a opportunity to show them what you're really about, so they get to the point of being like, oh yeah, I do like these people, I like the way they do what they do, I'm going to sign up for the CSA or get a meat share or whatever. um
Yeah, the nurture
so
ins I have a thing called Farm Marketing School, that farmers subscribe to, and they build the different pieces of their marketing system,
mm,
and the email nurture sequence is one of the most popular projects for farmers who come in there. They are really eager to put that in place because it is such a powerful driver of the engine. If you can, once you get someone onto your list, you do not pitch them right away. Like, that is a bad mistake. They will unsubscribe quickly.
mm,
You really wanna have some kind of a mechanism like this autoresponder that's maybe 2 weeks long, 10 days, that's just dripping out, I don't know, 4 emails over 2 weeks that just slowly introduces you to them and, um, yeah, creates that affinity. That is such an important step, and a lot of people don't take the time to warm up to their audience. There's a metaphor that's used a lot in the marketing space of dating, and that marketing is a lot like dating. Too many farmers are meeting a person for the first time and getting down on one knee and asking them to marry them and make a big purchase, right? When really what they should do is ask them, "Can I have your number? Can we go out on a date first? Right? Can we get to know each other a little bit? Can I meet your parents?" There's all these other steps that happen before the big ask, and if you don't honor those, it feels icky. That's when it feels salesy. So we build these other structures in place in our business to move the customer slowly along to hit these milestones so that when they get pitched for the first time, it feels okay to them. It feels okay to you. You do it with confidence because you know you've delivered so much value on the front end that it feels absolutely good to say, I know I can help you. This is a product that will meet your need and will solve your problem. And then the customer feels okay about it too. And many of them, more of them will convert because you honored the process of building the relationship.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering if you would call pictures of people's farms nurture content in a way, because I'm thinking farmers are busy, they're probably plenty busy just with what's going on out in the field, but if you neglect that sales and marketing side, you're not going to have enough customers. And I'm thinking that one really easy post that a lot of farmers could pull off is just a picture of, uh, how the crop is looking in the field, or just a beautiful shot of the farm, because that should be the kind of thing they could take a quick picture, just throw a caption on there, and that should nurture that relationship with somebody who's already a customer, thinking about being a customer, because then they're like, oh, that's where my food or flowers are come from, or like, yeah, this is a beautiful farm. This is the kind of place that I want to support. My dollars can
Mhm.
help this farm keep being a farm. And I want to ask you that question because we're all so busy. We have to budget our time. I think farmers sometimes might be like, well, why am I going to just like take a picture? I'm not going to put the time into making a social media post unless it does something for me. And so you tell me, I might be off the wrong track here, but I was thinking, like, even just a simple picture of what the farm looks like can be a nurture post in a way, because it makes the person like understand what the farm is and probably want to support it, and maybe able to move them along on that journey from interested person to customer. Like, does that make sense as a nurture?
I think the question to ask is, what is the desire of your customer's heart? Like, what is driving them to check out your farm in the first place? For many farm customers, they're looking for transparency and knowing they can trust where their food comes from. And
Oh
so
yeah.
to be able to see a picture of the field and the growing practices being played out, like that's why that kind of a picture works, because
Hmm.
it's feeding that need that the client has, that I need to feel secure about where my food comes from. So that's really the question you should ask about, well, would this picture serve my purposes? I also think things that should show up if you want to build and nurture trust, you need to have pictures of yourself with your eyes looking into the camera. And I know
Hmm.
that's hard, but pictures of people always do better on social media than pictures of things. So don't be afraid to put yourself in there. If you can get pictures of your customers using your product, that's also gold, because and get permission obviously to use them, but you want a customer to see themselves in that client, and that's what happens. It's called mirroring. It's like
Hmm.
they hold a mirror up to themselves and they imagine themselves doing what that customer is doing, whether it's eating something yummy from the kitchen table, or having a bunch of people around them looking like they're having a blast around your produce, or a child scooping up a kohlrabi stick and some dip. And every mom out there is like, I want my kid to be like that. So we want to try and also get customer photos too. Those testimonials are huge.
Yes, but I am a very visual person, so paint the picture for me here, Karina.
Yeah.
So you're sticking all these post-its up on a wall or on a calendar. Like, how are you managing this
Yeah,
system?
I actually have I have one of those big paper calendars,
Hmm.
and I'm just because it's bigger, because the Post-it notes take up a lot of space.
Yeah,
And
like
so
month
I'm just
month at a
putting
glance kind of thing.
Yes, yes, month at a
Yeah.
glance. And so I'm
Uh-huh.
just placing them originally just on the calendar, but then if I want to get really into the minutia, I'll even like try to stick them on on the right weeks,
Hmm.
because I want to make sure that
Yeah, yeah.
we don't have overlapping competing things. Like if you have two like level 1 hardcore promotions going on at the same time, that's not a good idea, right? We want to kind of space them out. So I'll have all of that roughly in the right week. I'll have the goals, the revenue goals written out on that Post-it as well.
Hmm.
And in my early years, I took that information from that and I put month by month onto like a piece of paper, and I wrote it out. But now honestly, I just keep the calendar and I just look at it. I'm experienced enough that I can just see, oh, I've got those two things going on this month. I've already got resources that from the past. I'm just going to pull them out, rinse and repeat them, and maybe adjust them a little bit. That's the other thing that's beautiful about this. It's hard to build it the first time, but then the next year, please do not throw away your promotion calendar. Like, use it again. And as you're building the promotions, save the stuff that you do. Like, the email that you sent out and the promotion, social media posts that you put with that promotion, like put them in a Google Drive, like a special Google folder, so that all you have to do is go back and find the crib sheets, right? And you could repost the same stuff the next year. No one will remember, or maybe if you use Canva, which is the graphic design program that I use,
Yeah.
you can have folders for each of the different promotions, and you just go and find the graphics in there and pull them out again, right? So that's the beauty of this, is you save this stuff somewhere so that it's easy to locate and redo.
Right. Right. Because you're going to be doing CSA renewals the same time the next year. So,
I have been doing the same process for the last 7 years and getting the same results. It's rinse and repeat. I change the bonus out every year, but I use the same emails. I use almost exactly the same social media copy. So yeah.
I mean, speaking of that, I've enjoyed this conversation. I think there's a lot there for our listeners. And you've been very generous with your time. Is there anything else you want to say about about promotion calendars or anything else we talked about today before we let you go? So,
Yeah, maybe I do want to say one more thing here. I don't want people to feel bad if they don't do everything on the promotion calendar, because that's very common. You have this plan, and then there's always a few things that when you get to that month, you're like, yeah, I don't feel like doing National Donut Day or whatever, like and then you're just like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to drop it. Or you see another opportunity come up that feels really exciting, and you follow the energy, and that creates revenue for you or some other asset in your business. And you should follow that energy. So, this is just meant to be a rough draft, a guide, and use it, change it, develop it, evolve it. It's yeah, don't shame yourself if you didn't do that thing in September you said you were going to do.
all right. Well, that makes me feel better because I don't know if I've ever sat down and planned out an entire year of promotions ahead of time. But this conversation is making me think that I should.
Build one. Commit to doing it. Even if all you do is first quarter, or the most important quarter of the year where you make the bulk of your money. Maybe you can commit to doing that one
Hmm.
and just test it out.
Yeah. There you go. Get started. Do it, people.
Many thanks to Andrew from the Growing for Market podcast for that interview and for allowing me to repurpose it on my own podcast. Work smarter, not harder, right? If you liked today's episode, please go leave me a rating or a review, or share it with another farmer friend. Send them the link and tell them you got to listen to this. Now, if you want some help building promotion calendars, I have a couple of resources that I think you might want to grab. And the first one is a freebie. It's a list of, I think, 30 different offer formulas. So one of the struggles that you might have is you build your promotion calendars. You're trying to think of, what are the promotions that I could even run? What are some of the different offers that I could make? And so I created a guide to help farmers with that. It has 30 of the most popular types of offers that you'll see across different industries. Things like the weekly special or the buy one, get one free. Those are two examples of offer styles. And having this document can really help you when you're trying to brainstorm, how do I go about meeting some of these revenue goals that I want to make, or promotion goals in my promo calendar. So you can grab that by going to mydigitalfarmer.com/offer, and you'll be able to download that freebie and just have it at your desk or right there when you're working on the promo calendar, so that you can kind of page through it and it might inspire some ideas. The second resource that I have available to you is to actually take the Building a Promotion Calendar workshop that's inside of Farm Marketing School. So you could go and subscribe for a month inside of Farm Marketing School. You go to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. This is my monthly online membership program that is sort of DIY. It helps beginning and intermediate farmers build out the different elements of their marketing system. And there are classes for each of the different elements that you might want to have. And one of those classes is how to build a promotion calendar. It's a 30-day project build. You watch the on-demand class, You download all the resources from the resource folder, and then you take a few days, usually takes about 6 to 8 hours to do the different projects, to actually implement and build the thing that you learned about. So it's a really good class. It's one of my favorite ones, and this is the time of year to be doing it, in January. So go check out Farm Marketing School, even if it's just for 30 days. Take that one class, and then you can decide if you want to take some of the other ones and build additional marketing assets. Part of Farm Marketing School is that we also meet once a month for a virtual Zoom call. So you can come and get some coaching or meet up with some other farmers and talk through some of your questions and share community. I love the farmers that are in there. So I'd love to have you join, if only for a month. Okay, so that's another resource that you have at your disposal. I want to make sure you know about. All right. If you want to get onto my email list, that's free. That's going to give you some resources to help you get better at your marketing. I'll send something to you about every 5 days. And you can get on that list by going to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. Today's show notes can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/296. And don't forget, I'm also on Instagram at mydigitalfarmer. I'd love to meet up with you there. Thanks for joining me today and talking all things promo calendar. I want you to go build one, okay? Even if you just spend a couple of hours and you get your most important quarter of the year down in writing, do it. You'll feel so much more confident moving through your season. You can go glance at that promo calendar plan, and you'll be able to look out 2 weeks ahead and be like, oh, I better start working on this. And you'll feel just really strong about, I know where my revenue's coming from. I know what I need to work on to make sure I hit my goals. So do it. This is important. Even if the first year you do it and it's imperfect, that's okay. Just get something started, and every year you'll get better and better. Have an awesome week, everyone. Remember, I believe in you, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.